Future of exchanges. It's important, actually, I think, first and foremost, to take a look at the history, understand where we are, and then talk a little bit about the future. And obviously, there'll be a bit of a Bitcoin SV tie-in. When I got into this market, it was only about 3 years ago. Several failed attempts to buy Bitcoin, mostly because it was complicated and I was a lazy user. I learned about Ethereum, and I thought that could be the next platform that sits on top of the internet that further moves to connect us all. And so I went out to buy some coins, and that's actually when I encountered Coinsquare for the first time by the original founder, my partner, Virgil Rostan. And I bought some coins from him. 6 months later, I invested in the company, and we started to scale together, and today we're the leading cryptocurrency exchange in Canada. But for the most part, our business over the last 2.5 years, since I took over as CEO, has been about a very simple process of allowing our customers to buy cryptocurrency, sell cryptocurrency. And we built an initial system that we've been running on now for about 4 years that's worked great in order to solve that problem, or to provide that opportunity, to our user base. And things have been changing rapidly in the market, and we've moved to figure out how we can capitalize on it. And we've tried to take a really, like a 50,000-foot view in terms of where we believe the market's going. And as we take that view, we've got to take a look at not just the cryptocurrency market, but also the existing financial services market, for which there are a number of very serious problems with it. Banks have too much control. Mid-sized banks are now getting squeezed out even by the larger banks. The opportunities for investors are incredibly limited, and the list goes on. Then you take a look at what the cryptocurrency market offered throughout, particularly 2017, when the ICO market started ramping up. Okay, and what you saw was this unbelievable problem being solved from the traditional financial markets with the unlocking of initial coin offerings and this access to a global pool of capital for companies to raise money. Fundamental problem with that process was, and continues to be even with IEOs, the fact that there's next to no investor protections. So you have this existing world of banks, regulators, money in your pocket, the world that most people outside of this room, okay, are used to and are only comfortable with. And then you have this new world, blockchain ecosystems and all the opportunities that we as a community understand are available to us. And there have been a lot of players in the space that have gone out and have developed solutions that solve a lot of the problems that exist today in the capital market system. But they've gone significantly too far. Okay? They're even to the point in which they can't get banking support, which is why they're using USDT and other tethers to utilize platforms like Coinsquare that operate compliantly within our respective geographic locations as fiat on and off ramps, but then send those coins to these completely unregulated international platforms that, at least in my opinion and in Coinsquare's opinion, take things significantly too far. So we have to find a happy medium between the two, which is why, as we've been out talking about our business for the last 2.5 years since I took over as CEO, we've talked about being the bridge that connects these two ecosystems. One in which that needs to make nice with regulators, make nice with banks, for which Coinsquare has been going through a process with the Ontario Securities Commission, with IROC, the Canadian Broker-Dealer Registrant, with the SEC and FINRA in the United States, okay, and other regulators in Canada, the United States, and Europe, in order to make sure that we're helping them get educated on the market so as to unlock opportunities for the citizens of the countries that they're responsible for protecting, but also to enable, okay? And as we've been going through this process, also with banks, we're banked by the Bank of Montreal. Has been a huge win for Coinsquare, the largest bank in the world by market cap, okay? That banks anybody in the space. They only have one client, and that client is Coinsquare, something we're incredibly proud of. But on the other side of the equation, you've got platforms like Binance that have totally ignored, okay, the ability to work within any degree of a regulated environment so that they can effectively do whatever they want. So what we're focused on now at Coinsquare, by being this bridge, okay, is to create an opportunity where we can build the mother of all fintechs. And by building the mother of all fintechs, In the redevelopment of our platform, which we started off in January of this year and expect to be able to finish by the end of this year, we're taking a look at some of the quick wins that we can get from the market based on what people understand. Okay? That's focusing on security token offerings, really a different name for ICOs, but one that exists within a compliant structure. Fiat-backed stable coins, as well as the buying and selling of what we call digital currencies. BTC, BSV, ETH, etc. Okay, but not the wider set of assets. So when you see our new market go live at the end of this year, you'll see that within a regulated environment, you'll see the trading of securities, okay, even within a fractional structure, the trading of fiat-backed stablecoins, which effectively opens up the ability to do foreign exchange transactions on our platform, and the trading of what we call digital currencies, okay? So you'll be able to trade between stocks, FX, and digital currency all within one platform, okay, with fractional ownership available through the security token offerings, which we think is going to be a huge win for the market because it effectively opens up the same sort of structure that some of these international platforms are offering, but under the regulations of Canadian securities regulators, for sure, and hopefully also we'll get the same approvals to be able to operate under those or with those opportunities for investors in the United States when we launch in that jurisdiction at the end of the year. So that's not the future of exchanges. That's the very, very short term. Okay, that's 2019 by the end of the year, what we expect to be able to do with our customers. Talking about what it means to be the mother of all fintechs, what happens next is we start layering in everything else that exists within the financial services market. Lending, credit cards, mortgages, the list goes on and on and on. And certainly there are a lot of regulatory hurdles that we have to get over in order to be able to include those in our platform, some of which companies like Coinsquare will be able to do directly, okay, by getting our own registrations, or in other cases, we'll be able to plug into existing offerings from some of our partners that at the same time are plugging into Coinsquare, because in Coinsquare we expect to be the central source of liquidity for digital assets in Canada, similar to the way banks go to the Toronto Stock Exchange to unlock liquidity for equities in our market, okay? So let's call it the 12-month roadmap or less, gives exchanges like Coinsquare the ability to be able to trade foreign exchange, digital currency, and securities, all within one platform. The longer-term view is to bring the entire financial services space under the guise of one platform. At the end of the day, the value for users by doing that is that naturally, if it's under one umbrella and we're able to build it in a way that is incredibly automated, intuitive, okay, and unlocks opportunities for our customers, the fees can be significantly lower than anything that the market is used to, which can attract people in critical mass and incredibly quickly, okay? Some of the biggest opportunities in our space so far have been about removing banks from the structure in which we send, let's say, cross-border payments. The ease of use to be able to send Bitcoin from your wallet to somebody else's wallet, regardless of where they are in the world. Okay, removing the intermediaries that exist and the fees associated with it, not to mention the speed. We're going to be able to reduce foreign exchange transactions from over 3% when you're dealing with your own bank, that friendly man or woman at the bank that shakes your hand every time they're ripping you off. We're going to be able to reduce those fees from over 3% to under 0.1%. Credit cards, predatory product, 29% interest rate for most people, and most people unfortunately fall behind in their payments and end up having to pay those fees. We're going to be able to create structures that get capital out to people when they need it, and a peer-to-peer lending structure that can significantly, and I can't give you an exact number because you'll hold me to it, but significantly reduce the costs of borrowing. Mortgages, the same. Business lending, the same. The opportunities that are presented in this market are so vast that we've only just begun to graze the surface on it. But what we did see in 2017 is a very, very promising view of what the future looks like. And the biggest challenge that I have, okay, as the CEO of a digital asset trading platform, is that I wake up every single morning anxious about the fact that I cannot figure out how in a compliant manner, not in a Binance-like manner, but a compliant manner, we're going to be able to link all the different sources of liquidity internationally, okay, into one structure that gives us access to this global pool of not just capital but investment opportunities. I'd be lying to you if I told you I can see what that looks like, and I don't believe that there's anybody in the market, at least that I've seen or spoken to, and I think I've spoken to everybody that's got the biggest vision at this point, that really understands how those tie-ins are going to be created. So we have some midterm opportunities to be able to build structures within certain geographic locations, okay, that complies within that geography, specifically in Canada, specifically in the United States, specifically within the European Union, although even within the Union, there's a whole lot that you have to do within each individual country in order to be able to figure out how you can or cannot work with the various regulators in those areas, okay? The good thing is that regulators are already speaking at the United Nations in large groups on the security side as well as the money transmitter side, okay? And they're having in-depth conversations about how we're going to be able to solve for these problems. Coinsquare has recently sent representatives out to the United Nations to talk about these issues. We've put in comments into the Ontario Securities Commission and the CSA to discuss our view in terms of how we're going to be able to link this global pool of resources. And the future looks not too far away, but we don't yet have the answer, and that answer is absolutely critical for Coinsquare's ability to be successful as well as our other partners, okay, and our other exchanges that exist around the world. So what does this all mean for BSV? Coinsquare for a long period of time has been very excited about Stellar, okay? Stellar is, or potentially was, the fastest cross-border or the fastest transaction network in the world, okay? Coinsquare even went as far as acquiring StellarX as our decentralized exchange play to begin testing in that market, StellarX being the decentralized exchange that was originally owned by the Stellar Group, okay? But when I look at BSV, and when I look at what BSV not can be, but currently is, with its ability for massive scale, and then I look at the infrastructure that our platform is going to need in order to be able to ensure that transactions within our platform and from our platform to merchants, through remittance, in cross-border payments and the like, okay, have massive speed, we need massive scale. Thank God we've been able to bring together a group that enables us to get back to that core foundation, because we all know how many, I'm not going to ask you to put up your hands, but I can look around and I've got a good feeling we've got a strong group of software developers in this room that understand a smaller core of code, okay, can be that much more efficient. And that new structure, that taking it back to the core, is, I believe, exactly what we need in order to negate a lot of the problems that we've had with this market. And our inability to be able to service our customers at Coinsquare, who will send in a support ticket 13 seconds after they send Bitcoin somewhere and it hasn't arrived yet. Massive problem, massive opportunity. Everybody in this room is on the right track, and it's a pleasure to be part of this community. Thanks for having me out today.